This video tutorial is on percentage. The definition of percentage is percent is derived from the Latin word percentum, meaning per hundred. And the symbol used to represent percentage is this symbol. Now, the definition says percent is derived from the Latin word percentum, meaning per hundred, right? So, let's understand this definition by a few examples. If our fraction is 1 over 100 and 2 over 100, then if by the definition it says percentage is per 100, so by going by this definition, this is 1 per 100, that is 1 out of 100. Therefore, this fraction is actually represents 1%. And this fraction 2 over 100, that is 2 per 100, represents the fraction 2%. Clear? Suppose we have a fraction 3 over 5. Okay. Can we tell what percentage this is? That's really very simple. You have to remember the concept of equivalent fractions. And I assume that you remember the concept of equivalent fractions. So if I apply the concept of equivalent fractions and if I multiply this 3 over 5 by number, that is both the numerator and the denominator, by 20, then this will give you 60 over 100, right? So 3 over 5 and 60 over 100, these are like, this fraction is equivalent fraction of this one. This represents 60%. Why? Because it is 60 out of 100. Now, if this fraction was not 3 over 5, but if this fraction had been 3 over 7, let's say 3 over 7, then can we tell the percentage? Same thing. You have to remember the concept of equivalent fractions, and in this case, now here, if we multiply 20 with 5, then straight we get 100. But that is not the case with 7, because 7 is not a factor of 100, right? So in that case, what will we do? That's again very simple. 3 over 7 and multiply this with 100 over 100, because 100 over 100 is nothing else but it's actually 1 only, right? If you solve this, you'll get 1. So it means that what? 3 over 7 is multiplied with 1 will give you back this fraction only, right? So why we have done this? Because again, we are using the concept of equivalent fractions. We need 100 in denominator in order to tell the percentage. Therefore, we have 100 by 100. And if we write it in this way, 3 over 100 divided by 7 times 1 over 100, right? We can do this? Yes. Now, if you solve it, this is 300 over 7 plus multiplied by 1 over 100, right? Now, this will give you 7 for 28, you get 2, then 7 to 14, you get 6, 42.8 something you are getting from this one, right? If you divide this, 7 times 4 is 28, then 2 carry over, 2 0, 7 to 14 and 6, yes, 42.8 something times 1 over 100. Now clearly this can be written as 42.8 divided by 100. So what percentage is this? This is 42.8%. So by using these examples of fraction, I actually tried to explain you this definition, that is per 100, right? When you are dealing with fraction, always try to get 100 in the denominator, because when you have to tell the fraction percentage, you should have 100 as a denominator. Okay, let's take a few more examples. Suppose we have this rectangular block, right? And if we cut this rectangular block into 100 equal pieces, we go on cutting this. Okay, so total, this is the 100th one. Suppose this is the 100th one. Again, if I talk about this one, what fraction will this represent? This is 1 over 100. So what percentage is this? What percentage this portion is out of this whole block? This is 1%. Similarly, if we take this one and this one, both this one, right? These two. So in that case, these two are actually what? These are 2 over 100. That's considered a fraction. So what percentage will this is this? This is 2%. Okay. So again, we can see that what do we mean by percentage? We cut this block into 100 equal portions, and then each portion is actually representing some fraction. If I take only this one, this is 1%. If I take these two, that is 2%. If I take this one, and this one, that will be 3 over 100, that fraction, and the percentage will be 3% in that case. Right? Okay. Suppose in a class, in a whole class, and the strength of the class is 100, there are 60 girls and 40 boys. Okay, so 60 girls and 40 boys. What fraction are these girls in the whole class? So in the whole class you have 60 girls and the total strength of the class is 100. So this again 60 over 100, that is 60%. The fraction of girls in the class is 60 over 100, and this fraction tells us represents a percentage, that is 60%. The fraction of boys in this class whose strength is 100 is 40 over 100. Okay, and this represents a percentage, that is 40%. Okay, the last example. So we have 5 red balls, 2 blue balls, 3 green balls. So total we have how many balls? We have 10 balls. We have 10 balls. Now, in this case, we have 10 balls and we have to calculate again the percentage of red balls, the percentage of the blue balls, the percentage of these green balls out of the total 10 balls. So how will you calculate? That's very simple. Again, first using fraction. So if I use fraction and if I calculate, first I'm talking about percentage for red balls. Okay, so in this case, what is the fraction? That is 5 over 10, right? 5 balls out of 10. So this is 5 over 10. And if I have to calculate percentage, I'll use the concept of equivalent fractions. And if I multiply the numerator and denominator by 10, because clearly if I multiply 10 to this 10, I'll get 100 in the denominator. So this will be 50 out of 100. This is 50%. What percentage it represents? It represents 50%. Now let's talk about percentage for this blue ball. In this case, what is a fraction? 2 over 10. Again, if I multiply both the numerator and denominator by 10, I'll get 20 over 100, because 10 is a fraction of 100. So 10 times 10 is 100. This represents 20%. Okay. Next one is percentage for green balls. In this case, the fraction is 3 over 10. So this is the equivalent fraction for this one will be 30 over 100. If we multiply the numerator and the denominator with 10, so 30 over 100. And what fraction does it represent? It represents 30%. So the percentage of red balls is 50%. The percentage of blue balls is 20%, and the percentage of green balls is 30%. Now let's solve it using unitary method. Okay, so first for the red balls. In the case of red balls, out of 10 red balls, out of 10 total 10 balls, you have 3 red balls. Therefore, we'll first calculate for 1. That will be 3 over 10 balls. Then we'll calculate for 100, because we want how many red balls will be there if we take the total number of balls is actually 100. So out of 10 it was 3, out of 1 it will be 3 by 10. So out of 100 it will be 3 over 10 times 100, right? Now, if you solve this, you'll get 30. Sorry, this is 5 balls. This is 5 balls. 5, and you get 50 balls. So if the total number of balls is 100, in that case, the red balls will be 50 balls. Now, what percentage will it represent? It will represent 50%, because we have calculated for 100 balls. In the case of blue balls, in the case of blue balls, the fraction will, in the case of blue balls, out of 10 balls, you have 2 blue balls. Therefore, first calculate for 1 out of 1, that will be 2 over 10. Then for 100. So if the total number of balls is 100, the number of blue balls will be 2 over 10 times 100. And if you solve this, you will get 20 balls. So there will be 20 balls, 20 blue balls. And what percentage does it represent? It represents 20%. Why? 20 out of 100. For green, out of 10 balls, you have 3 green balls. So first calculate for 1. That will be 3 over 10. Then calculate for 100. So if the total number of balls is 100, then you will have 3 over 10 times 100 balls, green balls. This will give you 30 green balls. and this is actually 30%, right? In both the cases, here 30, 20 and 50, here also 30, 20 and 50, you are getting the same result. So using fraction and then using unitary method. In this video tutorial, we are going to discuss about cost price, selling price, profit, loss, and then profit or loss as percentage. But before discussing profit or loss as percentage, first let's discuss about cost price, selling price, profit, and loss, these 4 points. Suppose this is a factory which manufactures some vehicles, trucks, lorries and all. This is a showroom and you are the owner of this showroom. Now, you purchased a truck or lorry from this factory for, let's say, 10 lakh. Okay, and you sell this truck or lorry. The first condition is you sell it for, let's take some different color. You sell it for 11 lakh. And the second, this is the first condition, and the second condition is you sell it for 9 lakh and 9,50,000, right? This was 11 lakh, this is 10 lakh, and this is 9,50,000. So, in which condition, in which of these two conditions you are actually in profit? Clearly, this first condition. Why? Because this amount, that is 10 lakh, the amount at which you purchase this lorry from the factory is 10 lakh. And this is what? This is cost price. This is cost price. The price at which you purchased it from the factory. Let's denote this cost price by CP. So this is the cost price. This 11 lakh in the first condition will be the selling price, the price at which you sell it, at which you sell it to your customer. Selling price. Let's denote this with selling price. Okay, and this is the selling price in the second condition. Clearly, when you sell this truck for 11 lakh, clearly you are in a profit. And when you sell this truck for 9,50,000, you are in loss. So this condition is for profit, and in this condition you are in loss. Okay, now how much is the profit? Clearly, when you are making profit, then in that scenario, your selling price is greater than the cost price. Yes, and when you are making loss, when you are incurring loss, then your selling price is actually less than the cost price. Like in this case, it was 11 lakh and 10 lakh. In this case, it's 9,50,000 and 10 lakh. So you incurred some loss. Now, if you have to calculate that what is the profit, clearly profit is selling price minus cost price. And why? Because selling price is greater than the cost price. Only in that scenario you make profit. And what about loss? When you are in loss, your cost price is greater than your selling price, therefore cost price minus selling price. This will be the loss. Okay, so now we have a better understanding of cost price, selling price, profit and loss. Let's move to the next point. That's really very important. profit or loss as percentage. Now if you're thinking that we already know what's a profit and we already know the loss that we can calculate from here, then what's the use of this profit or loss as percentage? Well, in this condition, like you can say that our profit is of 1 lakh. Why? Because if you calculate 11 lakh minus 10 lakh will be 1 lakh. So profit is 1 lakh, and in this case loss, if you calculate the loss will be 9 lakh, 10 lakh minus 9 lakh 50,000 will be 50,000. So this is a one way to tell the profit or loss. Another way can be in the terms of percentage. That's profit or loss as percentage. So how you calculate it? So in this case, like the profit, when you calculate here profit, profit comes 1 lakh. Profit comes 1 lakh. In this case, loss comes 50,000. Now always remember, whenever you are calculating profit or loss as percentage, then always the base point, the reference point will be the cost price. And I tell you why. In this case, this 10 lakh is fixed. Okay, the factory sold you this truck at 10 lakh. Now it's up to you whether you want to make profit or you have to incur loss. Okay, so this is fixed, but this will vary. So let's say that here is our cost price. If you make selling price this much, then clearly profit is this much. This is selling price 1. If you make selling price, this is profit 1. If you make your selling price here, let's say the difference is this much, that is selling price is this much, therefore the difference will be what? This P2. Clearly the P2 is greater, the profit is greater. If you sell it at this point, that is less than the cost price, then the difference will be this much, right? And this difference, let's say that this is loss 1 from here. If you sell it at selling price 2, the loss will be from here to here, that is L2. The point is that this will remain fixed. Now it's up to you at what price you sell this truck to your customers, right? So since this is fixed, therefore this is the reference point, this is the base point, this is the original amount. On this cost price, you have to calculate your profit or loss as percentage. Now in this case, I'm removing this, I need some space. In this case, when your cost price is 10 lakh, you are making a profit of how much? You are making a profit of 1 lakh. You are making a profit of 1 lakh. Here I am using unitary method to explain you. Unitary method. Okay, so when this is 10 lakh, okay, when your cost price is 10 lakh, you are making a profit of 1 lakh, and at 1, therefore this will be 1 lakh divided by 10 lakh, and for 100, if your cost price is 100, this will be 1 lakh divided by 10 lakh times 100. Now if I further solve it, this will be 1 lakh divided by 10 lakh times 100, and if you further solve it, this comes 1 over 10 times 100, and this gives you 10. Therefore, 10% will be the profit percentage. Now, if you're thinking that why we use the unitary method in order to calculate the profit percentage in this case, you know that whenever we calculate percentage, it's always per 100. That is out of 100. And we have discussed this point in our previous videos on percentages. If you haven't watched those videos, please watch those videos. The point was that when your cost price is 10 lakh, you make a profit of 1 lakh. So at 1 cost price, your profit will be this much. So at 100, what will be the profit what is the profit when the cost price is 100? That is this much. So for 100, you calculated the amount 10. That is per 100. That is 10% is the profit. Okay. So this is the percentage profit. Now what about loss percentage? Again, for profit percentage and loss percentage, we always take the reference point as cost price. In this case, let's calculate the loss percentage. Let's calculate the loss percentage. Now, in this case, loss percentage, when your cost price is 10 lakh, the loss incurred is 50,000, right? So again, we are using the unitary method. Unitary method. For 1, this is 50,000 or 10 lakh. Therefore, for 100, because we have to calculate a percentage loss, this is 50,000 or 10 lakh times 100. If you solve it, let's solve this. So this is 50,000 or 10 lakh times 100. So this 4 gone, this 2 gone, right? So the loss incurred is how much? Is 5 and the symbol percent, because we have calculated for the value 100. Per 100 is the loss percentage. So 5%. Now, if you look at this one, and the same thing was in the case of profit percentage also, but I missed to tell at that time. If you look at this one, then clearly this 50,000 is what? Is actually loss, right? So in this case, when you are calculating the loss percentage, it's loss over, this is what? 10 lakh. What is that? Cost price, and times 100, right? And when we were solving for the profit, it was the profit percentage was profit over cost price times 100. This is what? This is loss percent. So this is a formula to calculate the loss percentage and the profit percentage. Loss percentage will be what? Will be this. Loss percentage or loss percent will be loss over cost price times 100. And profit percentage will be profit over cost price times 100. I explained you how we reached to this formula, how we derived this formula, how we have derived these two formulas. And the way to derive them is the unitary method. Okay, now let's take some problems. Cost price is 72, selling price is 80. So in this case, are you making profit or loss? Clearly our selling price is greater than our cost price. Therefore, you are making profit. And how much is the profit? Profit, let's denote this with P, is how much? Profit is selling price minus cost price, and 80 minus 72 will give you how much? It gives you 8, right? Now, if you have to calculate profit percentage, P is what? Profit percent. This is profit over cost price times 100. Remember this formula we have just discussed in our previous slide. So this is profit is 8 over cost price is how much? Is 72 times 100. This is how much? 8 times 1 and 9, 72. So this is what? 100 over 9. Now if you have to write this, either you can divide it and write it in the form of decimal number, or we can use the mixed number. I am using mixed number. Okay, so this is a mixed number, and this is the percentage. The profit percentage is this much. In this case, CP is 120, selling price is 80. Clearly, CP, that is the cost price, is greater than selling price. Therefore, you are incurring loss. And what's the loss in this case? Loss is CP minus SP, that is selling price. So 120 minus 80 is how much? 40. Now you have to calculate loss percentage. Loss percentage is what? Loss over cost price over 100. And this is what? 40 over how much? 120 times 100. So 3, this is 100 over 3. Again, it depends on you whether you want to write it in the form of a decimal number or in the form of a mixed number. So I write it in the form of mixed number. So this is right. So this is the loss percentage and this is the profit percentage for these two different questions. The cost of a flower vase is rupees 120. If the shopkeeper sells it at a loss of 10%, find the price at which it is sold. So, in this question, the cost of a flower vase is rupees 120. So the cost price is rupees 120. If the shopkeeper sells it at a loss of 10%, we are given loss percentage. Okay, we have been given loss percentage here, and that is 10%. Find the price at which it is sold. We don't know the selling price, right? We don't know this. Okay, we can solve this using two different ways. Let's take the first way. 10% loss, right? And the cost price is 120. You remember that loss percentage, profit percentage is always calculated on the cost price. Okay, loss is 10%. It means that if 10% is the loss, and if we multiply this with cost price, that is 120, this will give you the loss. This is loss percentage. So if I multiply the loss percentage with the cost price, it's clear because the loss percentage is always calculated on the cost price. It will give us the loss percentage, and this is cost price. So if you solve this, you get what? You get that loss is of rupees 12. Okay. Now, since loss is rupees 12 and we know that loss is equal to CP minus selling price, right? Therefore, if you have to calculate selling price, that will be cost price minus loss. Now you can put this value. CP is how much? 120. Loss is how much? 12. So your selling price comes as rupees 108. This is the cost price. This was one way. Another way, it's very important to discuss and think of as many ways as we can. So the second way is that the loss percentage is how much? 10%. What does that mean? It means that if your cost price is 100, you incur a loss of rupees 10. Why? Because loss, profit, percentage, these all are calculated on cost price. So when 10% means what? 10% means that if your cost price is 100, you incur a loss of 10. Now, we are using this unitary method. So on 100, you incur a loss of 10. That's what loss percentage tells you. For 1, if the cost price is 1, the loss incurred will be 10 over 100. Therefore, if your cost price is 120, because we know the value for 1, now for 120, this will be 10 over 100. This is 10 over 100 and 120. Okay, so 10 times this 10, and again you get what? You get 12. That is, this is loss. For 100, the loss is 10. For 1, this much. Therefore, for 1 to cost 120, your loss will be this 12. Again, since you got this 12, your loss, you can put this value here, right? In this one, same here, this formula, and you can calculate it, the same value you'll get from here. Okay. Now, let's take another problem. Selling price of a toy car is rupees 540. If the profit, so what information we have? We have selling price as rupees 540. If the profit made by shopkeeper is 20%, so profit percent is how much? Is 20%. What is the cost price of this toy? What is the cost price of this toy? We don't know about the cost price. Okay, again, we can solve it using two different ways. Profit percentage, loss percentage is always calculated on the cost price. Here we know that the profit percentage is how much? 20%. Right? This 20%, if we multiply with cost price that we don't know, so we are using the denotation cost price, will give you what? Will give you the profit that you are making. Now, if you solve this, you get profit. If you denote profit by P, then you get P as 25 CP over 5. Profit is equal to cost price over 5. Now, since we are making profit, it means that our selling price is obviously greater than cost price, and we can use a formula. Profit, that is P, is equal to selling price minus cost price. Right? What is P? P is cost price over 5. Selling price is how much? Is 540 minus cost price we don't know. That's what we have to calculate. So this gives you 540 equal to CP over 5 plus CP. And this gives you 540 equal to 6 CP, that is cost price, over 5. If we solve this, we get 50, 54, 22, 55, 25 and 27 equals to 6 cost price. From here you get CP is equal to 2700 over 6. If we divide this, what we get? CP is equal to 6 times 3 is 18, 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, so 6 times 4 is 24, remaining 5, 4, 50. So cost price comes as rupees 450. This is the part 1 of the video series on problems on profit and loss percentage. And here we have a problem that says a shopkeeper purchased 200 bulbs for rupees 10 each. However, 5 bulbs were fused and had to be thrown away. The remaining were sold at rupees 12 each. Find the gain or loss percentage. Okay, so assume that you are that shopkeeper who purchased 200 bulbs. So you purchase 200 bulbs and the cost of each bulb is rupees 10. Now tell me what will be the cost price. So the cost price or the CP of these 200 bulbs will be rupees 200 multiplied by 10, that is rupees 2000, right? So this is the cost price. Okay, now your 5 bulbs were fused and they have to be thrown away. So 5 bulbs are fused. So now tell me how many bulbs you can actually sell. So you can actually sell only 200 minus 195, sorry, 200 minus 5 bulbs, that is 195 bulbs. So this is the number of bulbs that can be sold. Now the selling price of these 195 bulbs will be rupees 195 times, you are selling at rupees 12 each, so 12, and when you solve it you get the selling price comes as rupees 2340. Okay, now clearly the selling price is greater than the cost price because it is 2340 and it is rupees 2000. It means that you are making a profit. But you have to calculate the profit percentage, right? You have to calculate the profit percentage. Now we know that the profit percentage or loss percentage is always calculated on the cost price. We know this one. And the formula to calculate the profit percentage, like in this case we have profit, so the profit percentage will be the profit you make divided by cost price multiplied by 100. We know all these things, right? So what's the profit actually? If it were loss percentage, then at the place of profit it would be loss. But since this is profit percentage, therefore we have profit here. So what's the profit? Profit is rupees 2340 minus rupees 2000. So you get rupees 340. This is your profit. So you put this value here, you get 340, and the cost price is 2000 multiplied by 100. So these two zeros here and this is get cancelled, and your answer comes as 17%. So this is your profit percentage when you sell 195 bulbs at rupees 12 each. We have another problem here, and in this case the problem says a shopkeeper bought two fans for rupees 1200 each. He sold one at a loss of 5% and the other at a profit of 10%. Find the selling price of each. Also find out the total profit or loss. Okay, so it says that you bought two fans. Let this be fan 1 and this is the first fan, this is second fan. So rupees 1200 and rupees 1200. Okay, he sold one at a loss of 5%. Let this one you sell it at loss of 5%. Okay, so this is the cost price of this fan, right? This is the cost price of this fan and this is the cost price of this second fan, and the other one you sell it at a profit of 10%. So let this be the one that you sell at 10%. Okay, so find the selling price of each. Now tell me that we calculate the profit and the loss at cost price, right? So this is the loss that you make when you sell this fan. So the loss is off, the loss percentage is off, loss percentage is 5%, right? So what's the loss that you make? The loss that you make is actually 5%, that is 5% off. Let me write it like this. The loss you make is 5% of the cost price, that is rupees 1200. So the loss you get is 5 by 100 multiplied by 1200. So the loss is of rupees 60. So this is the loss that you make when you sell this fan at 5%. Okay, at loss of 5%. Now this is the loss that you make. So what will be selling price? Now clearly the selling price will be, in this case, will be cost price minus loss. So the cost price is rupees 1200, and the loss is rupees 60. It's rupees 60. So you get the selling price as of this first fan as rupees 1140. Right? This is the selling price of this fan. Let this be selling price 1. Now let's calculate for this one. In this case, you sell it at a profit of 10%. Now profit percentage is, in this case, 10%. Okay, so what's the profit that you actually make when you sell this fan at profit of 10%? So the profit will be, remember, we always calculate the profit and loss at cost price, on cost price. So 10% of the cost price, that is 1200. So in this case you get 10 by 100 multiplied by 1200, and your profit comes as rupees 120. So in this case, since you're making a profit of rupees 120, your selling price will be cost price plus profit. So the cost price is how much? Is rupees 1200, and the profit you make is 120. So your selling price, let this be SP2. So selling price of this fan, second fan, is rupees 1320. This is the selling price of this one, right? So we have solved this first part. The second part asks also find out the total profit or loss. Now you have to calculate the total profit or loss. Okay, so the cost price, the total cost price will be how much? Rupees 1200 plus rupees 1200, right? The two fans, the total cost price is rupees 1200 plus 1200 means rupees 2400. Okay, tell me the total selling price of these two fans if you combine them, right? We have calculated the individual selling prices. Now add them together. So the selling price will be, total selling price will be rupees. If you add these two, you get, this is 2000, 2400 and 2460. So rupees 2400, let me check it again. So 2000, 2020, 460, yes. So this is the total selling price. Now tell me, isn't selling price greater than the cost price in this case, right? And that means that you are making actually profit, right? So your profit is, if you combine these two, the profit is actually selling price minus cost price, the total selling price minus total cost price. That is rupees 2460 minus 2400, and you get rupees 60. This is the total profit that you make when you combine these two fans together, the selling of these two fans together. Doesn't matter, here you make a loss and here you make a profit, but finally you are actually making a profit of rupees 60 despite this loss.